Today we'll be moving into the U.S. Constitution. Before we jump into that, we'll start with key vocabulary. Constitution is the makeup or composition of something. Key ideas, principles, or other agreements by which a state or group is acknowledged to be governed. So the best description of Constitution is going to be number two, right? Number two. So the Constitution in the United States are agreements by which the country is governed or run. The example sentence is the US Constitution is known as being a flexible and durable document because it has lasted so long. So another simple way to think of Constitution is it's a plan of government. So just like you make your 4-year plan or your 6-year plan, and it kind of maps out the path you're going to take. That's what a constitution is. It's the path on how the government is run. Another comparison you could make is to the school handbook. So the school has a handbook that has all the rules and requirements, and that's very similar to a constitution. It has the rules by which the government is run. Okay, so let's go ahead and jump right in. We're going to start with the reading. On your handout, it reminds you to always read the questions first. So I'll do a quick read of the questions and we'll jump into the text. First question. When thinking about forming a new government, about what were Americans worried? Why? Second, what was the name of the plan of government Americans established? Who ran it? How much power did each state have? What was the problem with this plan of government? How it started. After declaring independence in 1776, Congress tried to unite the states under one national government. However, most members were nervous about creating a strong central government and feared that it would trample the very rights they were fighting to preserve or save. Their solution was a plan of government known as the Articles of Confederation. The Articles created a loose union in which the 13 states cooperated for common purposes. It was run by Congress, in which each state had one vote. On paper, the Articles of Confederation gave Congress several important powers. In reality, however, these powers were limited by the inability of Congress to impose taxes. Congress had to ask the states for funds to do anything, and all too often the states ignored Congress's humble requests. The result that the result was that the articles were no more effective at binding the states into a nation than a rope of sand. As a result, Madison and other leaders met in 1787 to revise the Articles and ended up compromising to form a more perfect union. So we're going to jump right into the questions and make some connections. So our first question, when thinking about forming a new government, about what were Americans worried and why? So we see here in the text, it points out that people were worried about losing the freedoms they were fighting for. So they were very interested in making sure they weren't going to have the same problems that they had with England. Next question. What was the name of the plan of government? And then we have a series of questions after that. So let's go back to the text. We have the name in paragraph 2, the Articles of Confederation, who it was run by. It was run by Congress, and each state had one vote. So that means there was one representative sent to Congress for each state. So there were 13 states, so there were 13 representatives, and each of them got one vote. And the last one says, what was the problem with this plan of government? This is the hardest part for students to understand. So what we have the text explaining is that Congress didn't actually have power because they had to ask the states for money. The states weren't required to provide money. And so every time they asked the states, what does the text say? The text uses the word ignored. That's pretty much them saying no.